The symbolism in the film reflects the industrialization of the time. Inspired by Fordism, Robert Ford's assembly line of 1914, the film reflects the poor conditions of workers in an assembly line. For the sake of productivity and the expression "time is money," the workers are pushed to complete monotonous and repetitive tasks at high speeds. At the initial factory scene, Chaplin's character is seen tightening bolts as they whiz by. This never-ending conveyor belt doesn't have an apparent purpose, which further illustrates the monotony of the work. Later, inventors of a new machine pitch their product to the boss of the factory and use Charlie as a guinea pig. The device is meant to mechanically feed someone his lunch so work can continue. And although this scene ultimately becomes humorous, the meaning behind it shows the time's hardship. Some of the most important sequences in the film include: number 1, when Charlie's character accidentally rides the conveyor belt into the gears of the big machine. It shows symbolically that he as a human has become part of the machine or part of the system. Number 2 would be the feeding machine, which is probably the most humorous sequence in the film. It is so important for that reason because the film is ultimately a comedy. Number 3 would be the skating scene in the department store, because it's very entertaining and it is also significant in its wow factor. It is an interesting stunt, especially considering the time the film was made. The acting in modern times, as with all silent films, is made to be more exaggerated and expressive. All emotion must be conveyed through facial acting as well as body movement, so a lot of the motions are heightened from reality. In terms of camera work for this picture, it was fairly straightforward. Most of the shots were set up in one fixed point, with the ability to pan in different directions. Nowadays we use Steadicams to follow fast movement, as well as a whole arsenal of tricks to get all kinds of interesting shots. For the time, it was a standard. Comedically, I thought that the acting was spot on. It would be hard for me to say that I felt moved by the actors, but they thoroughly entertained me, which was the point of this comedic film. The story progressed well enough. The movie felt to me somewhat like an anthology. There were very clear scenes and segments that unrolled in their entireties before moving on to the next. In current films, we tend to skip back and forth between different characters, which does give us more insight into the story. Modern Times was somewhat limited in terms of storytelling because of the linear direction that it took. It went from factory to department store to restaurant with not much in between.
Overall, I give this film